check out Cajun Lights, your complete dog hunting outfitter. Tracking equipment, leashes, collars, dog supplies, and much, much more. You can find it all at CajunLights.com. And don't forget their outstanding lineup of lights. You can find it all at CajunLights.com. You know what app I use on my phone more than any other app, besides the podcast app, to listen to this here podcast? I use onX. onX Maps is the most comprehensive mapping system for hunters on the market today. I use it all the time. When I was in New Mexico, I was looking at 40,000 acres of ranch that I needed to learn. I flip open onX and just start studying the map. When I'm riding trails, I put the tracking app on. It helps me get around in strange country. I could mark water sources, food sources, bear sign, just all kinds of options within onX. You need to check out onX Maps by going to houndsmanxp.com. Click on the link on our sponsor page. You'll go right to onX Maps, and when you check out, enter the code HXP20 and you will get 20% off of your order. Know where you stand with onX. Elite nutrition products are the hottest thing on the market right now for dog and horse owners. And Houndsman XP is a dealer. You can find all their products on our website at houndsmanxp.com. Over the past 5 years, you've tuned into this podcast, and I don't take it lightly. We have built a mutual trust. And when I recommend a product, it's because I believe in it, I use it, and I'm given my seal of approval for that. I'm putting my name on that. And with Elite Nutrition products, I do trust it. I do use it. I've seen great results with their essential dogs, their pre and probiotics, their tick-borne disease treatment. It's all natural. It's a great alternative to pharmaceuticals when used appropriately. If you expect extreme performance, you need Elite Nutrition. Available from houndsmanxp.com.
Originally what started was I needed a block. And I was online, looking at blocks and stuff, and some of these blocks, hey, if you can get $160 for a block, more power to you. You can get $300 for a block, you're living the life. But I'm like, my wife is not going to justify $150 out the door for a piece of wood. Okay, so it's like, all right, I'll go down to Harbor Freight, bought a $140 lathe, I'll make my own. It took me a while to figure it out, but it's not hard. A 10-year-old can do this. And so I made my first block.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back for another episode of the Falconry Chronicles Podcast. And this episode is the last of the handful that I recorded while I was staying at Jake Thomas's place in Kansas. And man, it was monsooning this day. And I did my best to remove all that rain background noise, but hopefully it turns out okay on you all's end. But at any rate, the guest for this episode, Bill Brooks, I'm a big fan of. He makes really good pole perches and blocks and other types of perches. And so I really wanted to get him on while I was out in Kansas. I knew he didn't live too far from Jake, and I'm glad that Jake was able to help organize that because I've known Bill for several years now and have a few of his pole perches and stuff, so I wanted to get him on here and talk shop. So this is a nice lengthy one. It's almost 2 hours, just a little under, so we're going to jump right in as always and finish out this last episode that was recorded while I was in Kansas. So we're going to jump right in, and here we go. So NAFA 2024, that was the last time we ran into each other, I think, right?
And don't even ask me where it was because I don't remember.
It was here in Liberal.
Oh, that's right. My mind is...
I feel you, man. I feel you. Now, like I just told you, all the stuff that I've gone through the last couple months and keeping everything straight, that whirlwind of a... Dude, it's... I'm the last person right now that can criticize anybody about being able to keep stuff straight. So, you know, I feel you. But yeah, we actually had a booth next to each other. It was nice to see you again. I mean, I've bought perches and stuff from you for, you know, off and on now for several years, and you know, and all that kind of good stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's nice to see you again and do this. Thanks for coming down.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so what are you normally doing these days? What are you filling your time with?
Well, I do abatement work, wildlife removal, you know, stuff like that from homes and businesses and whatnot. And then for the last going on 18 years, I'm a service tech out at McConnell Air Force Base on the 135s and the new 46As. I've serviced them on the weekends. I can't stand sitting, you know, around the house. And my wife says I'm semi-retired. I don't call it retired at all because I don't sit still. I can't sit and watch crap on TV during the day or watch, our shows. No, they're your shows. I don't care. But I'm one of these where I can be in my own house for an hour and a half, and now I have to go outside. I cannot stand being indoors. It drives me nuts. So I go outside and piddle with the birds, check the pigeons, or I might go out and go, okay, I'm going to take this piece of wood and make this, you know. And luckily, unfortunately, I should say, there's a switch in my house that runs electricity to my shed where I work. And when she wants me, she turns my shit off. I'll be out there with the lathe going, and all of a sudden everything goes black, power drops. She wants me, come in the house.
Yeah.
What do you want? Watch this. Oh, don't need to see what some moron on TV's got to say about whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
But you got to, you know.
Yeah.
Keep it cool.
Well, you've got a phone, right? Can she not just like, you know, send you a text, make a call in case, you know, so she doesn't just, you know, she turn your stuff off.
She does that, but a lot of times when I go out in the shed, I turn my phone off because I don't want to have to answer.
Okay. So you've kind of created the monster in a way.
Exactly. Yeah, it's either she kills my power or she's blowing up my phone. So I've even tried leaving the phone in the house, so when she calls, it's sitting there in front of her ringing. Yeah. Then she starts hitting that switch, you know. So.
Yeah, well.
But, you know, like I say, she tolerates a lot of crap that I do. I mean, I do some stupid shit. You know, I'm one of those where I'll get a bright idea and it's like, okay, let's go do it. And I'll get up and I'll go, you know, and I'll be back.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, you know, semi-manic kind of thing. You know, it's like you get something in your head, just have to, the OCD kicks in and you can't not do it.
I have to draw it, write it down, put it in a tablet so I don't forget it, because 2 minutes later I'm on to something new.
Yeah.
You know, like I can go to bed at 9 o'clock at night. I'm still awake at 2 o'clock in the morning because my brain will not shut down. And it's just the way it is. It's always been like that.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. So
you know, I think anybody that's got any kind of a creative mind or some kind of a need to make things or produce things or, you know, artistic. I know for me, if there's something left undone, that I know I need to get done or put down, or else I'll forget it or whatever, I'm the same way. I'll try to go to bed or something. I'll just lay there though, just stare at the ceiling,
and dwell on it.
Yeah, I mean it's not going away.
Right.
Yeah. So I can completely relate to that.
I've been like that, you know, like say my whole life, and it's like some of it it's just plain ridiculous what I let interfere with normal activities throughout the day. I can be in the middle of doing something hits me, and I'll stop and go start something else, and nothing's ever finished.
Yeah.
You know, I got projects up the wazoo that. I've got things that I've been staring at for over a year, but this thing's more important. So I'll go diddle with that for a little bit. Then I'll look over there and go, oh man, I got to get on that. Yeah, I got one for Chris Starr. It stands right in the middle of my shop, and every time I walk in, there's like, God, what am I going to do with this? It's something unusual. It's going to be a one of a kind, and don't screw it up, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's for Chris though, so you should just keep letting that. You should just keep letting that go. You just keep taking your time with that.
I told him he wouldn't get it till the next snap of me. He brought it to a liberal, and he handed it over, and I said, don't expect this anytime soon.
Yeah.
I said, I'll have it for you for next NAFA. I promise. So, and then along the way, I'm thinking, well, man, I don't even think I'm going to go this year. And it's like, you got that thing for Chris Starr. And it's like, shit. So luckily it's in Oklahoma. So it's a 3-hour drive for me. So if I have to drive, just go down there to give him his perch.
Drop it off
I'll
and come back.
I'll make the trip and come home. So it's, I don't know. I guess I love chaos. Mm-hmm. Because if I'm not in it, I'll make some.
I don't do well with having idle time either. I don't. It's never worked well for me.
No, I wish I could go 24/7. I'd be a happy camper.
Yeah.
Until I drop dead.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's that, and I push the envelope with sleep deprivation enough as it is. Let alone, I think it would be even more dangerous for me if I was able to go 24/7 for sure.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are times where I do enjoy just throwing in the towel occasionally and just have a gap somewhere where I just don't have to do anything.
Right.
But if I don't have goals or deadlines or a purpose or something, to work towards consistently, I get miserable quick.
Yeah. Well, and it's like my wife calls it run yourself ragged, where I'm up for 2 weeks, I'm getting my sleep, but I'm not getting what I need. And then all of a sudden one day or one night I'll go to bed and I'll sleep for 18 hours and she'll let me. Mm-hmm. And I wake up and I'm pissed because 8 hours of that, I could have been over here doing this. Mm-hmm. And I'm upset with myself because nobody needs 18 hours of sleep. But apparently I did.
Well, after you've accumulated about, 3 years of sleep debt in a few days, yes, sometimes, Well,
and at my age, I guess it catches up to you quick,
Well,
so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, supposedly the older we get is the
less we need.
Yeah, the less we supposedly need too. But
she don't buy that. Believe me, I've tried every excuse I can think of to just let me do what I want to do. Mm-hmm. I'm not out in the bars. I'm not chasing women. You know where I'm at. I'm in the backyard. Yep. Damn.
Yeah. Yep. I'm right where you're supposed to want me.
Yeah, exactly. I could be out, doing things and that's the one thing that I like about falconry. I got into it very young. Like my first bird I had, I was 9 years old. I had a red tail. And that, I think, is what's kept me out of trouble through my lifetime, because I always put that before everything else.
Yeah.
I've quit jobs because it interfered with my flying. And, just when I was young.
Sure.
No responsibilities. It's like living at home with mom and dad. I'm going to take the summer off because I'm going hunting or whatever. And California, trying to hunt was a nightmare because private landowners would not let you on their property. And so here's a kid, 10, 11 years old. Mommy's getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, loading him up in the car and taking him up into the hills and kicking him out on the side of the road and say, be here at 6 o'clock tonight. And I'd be out there all day long flying on, back behind Saddleback up in Irvine. And when I was a kid, I got to hunt on El Toro Marine Base. So, that I think is what kept me on an even keel. I didn't get myself in trouble. Mm-hmm. So I can add that to falconry.
Yeah. And so how old were you again whenever you got started initially? And how did you figure out that it was a thing?
Actually, I started at 9. My little brother came home one day with a kestrel. It got blown out of a nest because of the rains and out there. They get really bad. And I'd always been interested in birds, especially birds of prey at a young age and stuff. I don't know why, but it just attracted me. And he comes home one day with this little kestrel. And I said, well, give it to me. I'll we got it. I kicked his ass and I took his bird. So it was nothing more than a pet. It followed me around the neighborhood and crap like that. We'd go to the field and I'd watch it catch grasshoppers and crap. And then one day we went to my uncle's house, who was also a Marine. He was stationed at El Toro. And we went to their house, and they lived on base. So they were on thousands of acres. And we could go out there with our BB guns. And we'd go out there, we're going to go out and shoot rabbits, And we're sitting there walking down the baseline. And I just look over, and there's a red tail sitting in a tree eating a squirrel. And he's like 8 feet off the ground. So it's like, I got to go see how close I can get and check this thing out. I want to see this up close. So I get up there. Literally, we're standing there staring at each other, eyeball to eyeball. If I could have jumped 2 feet higher, I could have grabbed his ass by his legs and pulled him out of the tree. Mm-hmm. So I climbed up the tree, shimmied out on the limb, and he's literally sitting right next to me eating a squirrel. And I'm like, and my best friend at the time, he's like, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to grab him, and I'm going to jump down, take your shirt off, and as soon as I get down, we're going to wrap him up, So as soon as I reach for him, he drops the squirrel and takes off. And I'm like, oh, crap. So I get down, and I watch him, and he goes straight out over a field and lands on a fence post. So I pick up the squirrel, I go running across this field, and I take my shirt off, wrap my arm up, put the squirrel on it, and I walk up, and I get about 3 feet away, and he hops to my arm. And my friend's going, he's just freaking out, and I'm like, get your shirt off. I said, when I get him to the ground, I said, grab him. And he did. We took him home, got him in the garage, got him all unwrapped and stuff, and looked at him. He had blue paint on his wings. So the only thing I could assume is somebody found him at a young age or whatever, raised it, and then kicked it loose, because he was not afraid of me. He sat there and just, I could do anything to this bird.
I was going to say, either had to be extremely hungry or
right.
He had human, interaction.
Human interaction somewhere. So it's like, next thing I know, I'm running to the bookmobile to get a book on hawks. And I'm telling the lady what I got. And, is there anything on birds of prey? Yada, yada, yada. She's bringing all these books that are just tell me nothing, just the normal stuff. And I'm standing there, and this guy stands behind me. He goes, you need to get a book on falconry. And I said, what's that? And he goes, it's a sport, hunting with birds of prey. So, of course, I'm looking at the lady, and I said, that's what I want. So it took about a week to get it, and it was glazier. It had all the little pictures, how to make anklets and jesses and, all this stuff. So I tore a pair of moccasins apart and made jesses and stuff, And this bird lived in my backyard for 9 years on a stump underneath an apricot tree. Never put it in a pen, and I flew it across the backyard to the glove, and I'd take it down to the fields and fly it, and had no idea what weight control was. Why this bird stuck for 5 years is beyond me, because I had no clue what I was doing. And then one day he was up in the trees, and he went down, and I heard my first rabbit scream. And it's like, this is going to be a blast. And here's this 10-year-old kid walking down the street every day with a red tail on his arm, and 4 houses down from me. Didn't know the guy even lived there. I'm coming home one day from the field, and he's standing out in his driveway, and as I walk by, he goes, hey, kid, come here. And he said, what do you got there? And I said, well, it's a red-tailed hawk. He goes, what are you doing with it? I said, we was out at the field flying. And he goes, are you hunting that thing? And I said, well, he's hunting. I'm here. I'm just there. And he goes, come here, I want to show you something. He lifts up his garage, and I got to this day, I wish I'd have remembered his name. It was like a museum of falconry in this guy's garage. He had bow perches, blocks, gloves, rings, hoods. I mean, just books up the wazoo. Everything a kid, this is it. I'm in heaven. And he loaned me books. He gave me a scale. He explained weight control. And he would never go with me. He would just explain it to me. And that's where I figured out, okay, this is the process. You got to get the weight down. You got to get the attention, locked on you. Because my bird would wander. But as long as I had a piece of meat in my hand, she'd come down. And then the hunting just took a drastic, she was killer on the wing. I mean, she would kill anything that got up and moved. And I was hooked. And I had her for 5 years. And, of course, girls. So,
Yeah.
Ooh. So it's like, okay. And then my dad was on my butt, you need to turn that bird loose. It needs to be back in the wild, yada, yada, yada. So it's like, oh. Turn the bird loose. That lasted about 6 months. And I went down to the guy at this thing, and I said, I want another bird, but I don't know how do I get one? He said, well, you have to trap them. And I said, well, how do I do that? And he built me a BC, showed me how to noose it up and stuff. So the only thing that was weird about it, this thing was like 3 feet long and about a foot wide. And he goes, put a rabbit in it. So I went to a pet store, bought a baby rabbit, stuffed it in there, went out to El Toro, out on the back of the base, and found a hedgerow, and I saw a red tail, so I went down a ways through the trap, and we sat back, and I'm sitting there, and I'm watching this red tail, and he's just sitting there, and he's staring at, I know he's watching it, and out of the corner of my eye, something flies by through on the other side of the trees, and it's huge. Just slams into my trap. So me and my friend, we jump out, we run over there. It's a tercel golden eagle. I'm like, damn. And he goes, what are you going to do? Yeah, I mean, he had my trap mangled, but he was caught. So as soon as we rushed up, he spins around and wings come out, and he's locked on that trap, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I? So I get down on my knees, and just something said, grab both feet at the same time. If you miss one, you're toast, So I'm crawling along on my knees, and I get right in front of him, and he's trying to whack me with his wings. And I just lunge for him, and I grab both legs, and he beat the crap out of me. I had a black eye. I had a bruise over my left eye. And, but I got him, and I got him home, got him in the truck, got him home, got him all jessed up. And back then, I didn't know anything about anklets. It was a slip-on. Mm-hmm. So, of course, I'm all excited, and I go down the street and tell the guy, I got this bird. I said, but it's not a red tail. And he goes, well, what'd you guys say? I think it's an eagle. And he goes, what? And he literally comes to my house to see this bird. And he said, you got to turn this loose. And I said, I'm not turning this loose. And he goes, you cannot have this bird. He says, what we do in silence, in secrecy. He goes, how are you going to walk down the street with that? And I said, I'll figure it out. I had that bird for 5 years until fishing game caught me. And they come and snatched it up and informed me of the regulations of birds of prey, yada, 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 and all that stuff. So that's when, this was in the late 60s, and it was whatever you do it in secret. Nobody knows what you do. Nobody knows what you got. I'd go out and before sun up, hike it into the hills, and I'd come back when the sun went down. And that's how I learned falconry.
Yeah, because it wasn't until like the late 60s or something like that, right? Until all the rules and official rules and regs and everything were attempted to be put in place and all that.
I did. I bought a bird from India in the back of a comic book. Mm-hmm. You could buy falcons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Of course, it showed up dead. But after they took that, I was kind of like not sure what I was going to do, and I was raising pigeons, and I just happened to look out my back window one day, and I see this blur fly past the house and then duck right behind a brick wall by our front porch. And it's like, that had to be a hawk. So I go creeping out there, and I peek around a corner, and it's a Passage Goshawks got one of my Chinese pigeons, got him pinned in the corner. So I go in the house and grab a towel and come out and just dive bomb on this bird. And that's how I got my next hawk, was a North American goshawk. So it's
sounds like an interesting road for you.
Yeah, it is. It's like I'm always in the right place at the right time when it comes to a bird of prey. This is about 6 years ago, I'm in downtown Wichita. I don't know where I'm going. I'm going somewhere. I'm on the main street running through town. And all of a sudden, this pigeon just slams into the hood of my car and bounces off into the street. And then I see this blur come by and try to snatch and grab. And it's a prairie falcon. Killed it right there in the middle of the city. So I just jump out of my car, grab the pigeon, go around the corner, pull back into I think it was Burger King or something, and I look down the road, and there's this prairie falcon sitting on a telephone pole. So I walk out in the middle of the street, and I chuck that pigeon towards the bushes, and the prairie falcon starts stooping down, and I'm like, shit. So I get in the back of my truck, and I've got a pigeon harness. So I wrap that dead pigeon up, tie a string to it, and I throw it out on the sidewalk, and I get behind the bushes and start dragging this thing, and he comes down and lands next to it, runs over and jumps on it, and I literally pull him through the hedges and reach out and grab him. That's how I got my first prairie falcon.
Yeah, I've heard similar stories from other older falconers that, would conjure up all kinds of interesting ways aside from using a conventional trap to get a hold of a bird.
Right.
So these are some new ones.
Well, I got one I won't discuss because it's embarrassing, and some will say, "Man, that's just cruel." But we'll sidestep that issue there.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, but and so you were in California that whole time until you moved to Kansas, then, or
yes.
Was there anything in between?
No, I lived in California. In fact, I'd say from the time I was 15 because I moved here with a bird from California to Kansas in 91. I had a bird from 15 up until, God, how old was I? I think I was like 36 when I moved here. So I'd had a bird almost every day of my life. Something, kestrel, redtail, even had a Mississippi kite. Swallowtail kite, I'm sorry. It was a swallowtail kite. It was a pet. But it was cool, Girls liked it. So, but then once I got here, I turned the bird loose because I got a job that interfered with everything. So I cut the bird loose, and I was just sitting around one time thinking, God, man, I got to get back into this. And I went to the store, and right there in the magazine rack was Field and Stream. Had a kid standing there with a red-tailed hawk. So I opened it up, and it's a story about a kid with. So I opened it, and then at the end of it, it tells you if you're interested in the sport of falconry, get in touch with your local Department of Wildlife and Parks. So of course I immediately called them, and she said, "Man," she goes, "you just called in the perfect time." She goes, "There's an actual get together up in Marion for a bunch of guys that want to start a club, and it's like, give me the names, addresses, whatever." So I went up there and I met Steve Trent, Phil Kenny, the Johnson brothers, and we started the first Kansas City Hawking Club, and there was like 13 of us. And Phil Kenny was my sponsor. No, Steve Trent was my sponsor. I'm sorry. And I told him, I said, I don't need your help. I just need your signature. You want to come down and see what I can do? I'll da-da-da-da. Mm-hmm. And he goes, just go trap your bird, get a hunt, and come see me, which I did. And then he signed me, I think it was 2 years later, to go general. And I've been hunting ever since. So 50-something years I've had a bird of prey, one way or the other. Some just sat for a while, but most of them I hunted the hell. My favorite birds are Cooper's hawks.
Yeah, and that's one thing I wanted to talk to you about, because we've kind of messaged back and forth about that for a while, and I always like having people on that have a lot of experience with them, especially because, well, for obvious reasons, they're the ones that everybody gripes about the most, and has the hardest time with usually. And
you're crazy if you fly a Cooper's hawk. There's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer to fly accipiters over bootios or falcons. I suck at long wings. I really do. And so I know I'm not going to waste my time, and I'm not going to waste the bird's time, I love red tails. I'll fly a red tail any day of the week. Harris hawks, I have my qualms with them.
Well, you're an accipiter guy, so naturally you would.
Right. But my first accipiter I got from Doug Burt. It had been pulled from the nest. He got it home. He got it from Vanessa Vera, gave it to Doug Burt. He had some problems with kids and bird and all, yada, yada. So he called me up and asked me if I wanted it. And I said, yes. And it was a first-year bird, hadn't gone through the molt yet. And they had just got it going on crows. So it's like, okay, I got plenty of crows in my neighborhood. I'm surrounded by 3 parks, crows all day, every day. So I took the bird home, spent about a week with it, manning it down, figuring out its little quirks. And, of course, they're face grabbers, and she was a bitch. I mean, she just literally, but I got her down to a routine. We hunted crows 6 days a week at the minimum, and she'd take 2 or 3 every day. She hated them. God, she hated them. And what was really cool was she learned a trick where once she got them down, she had them on the ground. She would, and it was always her left foot, she would clench her foot and shove it down the crow's throat. I'm assuming so he can't bite. That's the only thing that made sense to me. But every crow, she had her foot down his throat.
Inside the mouth.
Inside the mouth.
Down through the throat. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And it's like, okay. So, but I mean, she'd do cottontail. She got one duck, got drug in the water, and never touched him again. I mean, the duck could be standing on dry land.
Yeah.
She wouldn't touch it.
Mm-hmm.
And she was, I would call her an imprint. One day I took her hunting. I had my red tail in the back. I had her up front. She was riding shotgun. And I went to a particular place to hunt. And when I got there, a lady came out and saw me messing around in the back with the red tail, started asking questions. And I said, well, let me go fly, and then I'll come back and we'll pull the coop out. So I go fly the red tail, and that was mistake number 1. Got back, put the red tail back, got in my truck to get my coop, and she nailed me right in the face. And it's like, oh, I forgot. You're first.
Yeah.
She got flown first, fed first, put away first. So I told the lady, I said, I'm not going to fly her because she's in one of those modes where we're not here to hunt. She's here to hunt me. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'm not getting out. So I got in my truck and I went to go home, and she's sitting over there on the block in the front seat, and I'm watching her out of the corner of my eye, and all of a sudden that left wing drops and she cocks, and I thought, here it comes. And I got my hand up just in time to stop her. but she would not let go of my hand. I mean, she shredded my hand. So I just grabbed her by the chest, got out of the truck, walked around to the back, lifted the lid, and threw her in the back of my truck, slammed the door. Luckily, the red tail was in a giant hood. But she, all the way home, was right behind me in the glass, slamming into it, trying to get to the back of my head. And so I left her in my truck overnight. And the next day she calmed down, and I put her back in the mute. But she was the queen. Everything was her first. Everybody else can wait. But I flew her for 17 years. And she had a seizure and died in my lap.
Man.
And that just, I don't get attached to animals, but that one I was. And it tore me up.
17 years is a long time for any bird, let alone a Cooper's accipiter, period. I mean,
right.
You're lucky if you can get a handful of years out of them sometimes, if you're hunting them as often as you should be,
Right.
And, it's, that's brutal.
And I was like, because I lost her twice in those 17 years. I lost her once for 6 months and another time for about 3 weeks. And she was always within 6 blocks of my house, because I had people calling me, your bird's sitting out on my back gate. Your bird's in my garage on a blackbird. By the time I'd get there, she'd be gone. And here's 50-year-old man walking around the streets, swinging a lure, walking through neighborhoods. And I'm like, what do these people think? But I never, finally she got herself, a guy saw her go in his garage, saw the anklets, and he shut his garage. And he called the local wildlife rescue guy to go get her. And he went and got her home, called me and said, hey, I think I got your bird. And I said, I'm on my way. He says, well, let me hold on to her for a couple of days and make sure she's fine. I said, no. You don't hold on to my bird. It's my bird. Yeah. I said, I'll be there in an hour to get my bird. And he gave her back. I've known him for years, but it's like, you got no right to hold on to my bird.
Yeah.
So.
That's a long time, though, man. Like I said, that's especially something as high strung as a Cooper's hawk, and granted, you said it ended up being more of an imprinty type of bird and everything. Yeah. It sounds like more of a misprint, actually, but mal imprint or whatever you want to.
Yeah, she like I say, she had her days where there'd be days no issues, no nothing. She knew what we were doing. I could literally walk through the gate, and the truck door would be open, and she would break free and shoot right into the front seat and get up on her perch because she knew where we were going. But she had a quirk where school buses terrified her. If we're going through a neighborhood or anywhere, and if she saw a yellow school bus, she'd dive to the floor, and she would not come up for at least 5 minutes to make sure that bus was gone. But if she saw a yellow school bus, she would be on the floor, and she would sit there for 5 minutes, and she was literally shaking. And I'm like, okay, so we found out that's one of your quirks. And then the only other one was I could not hunt her in camo pants. If I had on military camos, she would not get near me. She would bail to the farthest corner of a field and sit in a tree. And I'm not shooting you. I had to take my pants off one day. And walk across a field with a lure, and she finally would come down. So I never had to wear khakis again, and I had to always wear the same baseball cap. If I changed caps, we're not going. It's just, little quirks.
They definitely got them.
Yeah,
that's for sure. I mean, accipiters that's just kind of what they're known for.
Yeah.
And if you're not really good at imprinting them and don't really know what you're doing, it seems like they're gonna have more and more of those as opposed to just maybe a couple.
It's everybody asks me, I've had people call me and say, I saw your thing on your Cooper's Hawk. I want to get a Cooper's Hawk. It'd be my first one. Do you suggest an IS, a passage? I said, get a passage. Don't start with an IS because you're going to wind up with an imprint. You're possibly going to wind up with an imprint even with a passage, I mean, I've had passage red tails that turned into an imprint.
Well, yeah, and it seems to kind of be the trend. I mean, over time, even passage birds, they become more like, and then like imprints over time sometimes will become a little bit more like it's kind of has a opposite kind of.
Yeah, there's a border in there that, you cross or you don't cross. Mm-hmm. And
there's a switch that flips at some point,
Harris Hawks are the same way, and like the Colsons, they will not release a Harris until, 160 days old or something. Mm-hmm. It's up there. Mm-hmm. I made the mistake of a guy called me and said, I've got a female Harris Hawk. If you want her, come get her today. I want this bird gone. And the bird was only 6 weeks old.
Yeah.
Biggest mistake of my life.
Hard pass.
Well, I didn't know anything about Harris Hawks at the time.
Yeah.
So I took it, killed her for the first 5 years. And then all hell broke loose. Nobody could come in the field. She'd attack them. She got a hold of a friend of mine, Vanessa, and I saw it coming, and I tried to yell, duck, but she missed it. And she wound up in the hospital with stitches in her head.
Jeez. Yeah, no, it's not my idea of a good time either.
No.
My one experience with an imprint Harris, I'll never do it again. No. There's just no. But yeah, I mean, I the whole Cooper's Hawk thing, that's the one. I mean, I've had a little bit of experience with each of our accipiters, Sharpshins, Coops, and Goshawks now. I would never consider I don't think I would ever be able to consider myself anywhere even close to, super competent or, super experienced accipiter guy. Yeah. I don't think I'll ever get there because it's just not my thing. Yeah. But, I mean, the one species that I haven't caught game with yet is a Cooper's Hawk. So, I mean, it's something I still want to be successful with at some point because I want that experience.
Yep.
I mean, I've tried flying 2 of them now and just ended up turning them loose.
They're, and I've had people, more experienced falconers than me, like I say, when it comes to accipiters, I'm not going to say I know it all because I don't. It doesn't matter what you do, or no two birds are alike. Cooper's Hawks, I've trapped passage birds and, slowly bringing their weight down. I've got them hopping to the glove, 3 feet, 6 feet. I've even got them flying to the glove 12 feet. Okay, now introduce the lure. 3 feet, no problem. 5 feet, no problem. 6 feet, no problem. 10 feet, freeze.
Yep.
They stop.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, bring the weight down a little bit more. Nope. Toss it back at 6 feet, nails it. Toss it out at 10 feet, just sits there and stares at it. And I mean, literally bringing weight down to where, okay, I'm coming close to death.
Mm-hmm.
Fatten his ass back up, cut him loose, go get another one. Same thing. It's a female. For whatever reason, at that 10-foot mark, she would not come off that block for that lure. I don't care if there was a whole pigeon on the end of it. And it's like, I never figured it out. So it's like, okay, go pull one out of a nest. That way you train it to do what you want it to do. Mm-hmm. And that's where I succeed is with IS.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're quirky. And I like I say, I get people sending me messages. Hey, I heard you're the guru. And I'm like, no, I'm not. All I can tell you is what I've experienced. What works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Okay. You go talk to 10 accipiter flyers.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to write a book by the time they're done telling you. And you know what? None of it might not work for you.
Mm-hmm.
You're on your own. It's a learning in progress as you go when it comes to Cooper's Hawks,
Yeah.
McDermott and all those guys, hey, more power to you. You guys know how to read. I can read a bird when he's about to nail my ass, but to sit there and, psychologically figure out what his mental problem is, don't even try. I'm not that deep.
Yeah.
It either works or it don't, so.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat. There's, I feel like, this last goshawk I tried flying and stuff, if it wasn't for watching him fly for 10 years leading up to that,
right.
Like I would have it would have been bad,
right.
and like I was talking to Jake the other night, I mean, he just pretty much jumped off, he's one of those guys that hadn't even seen one fly before he tried flying his first one and stuff. For me, there's no way in hell that I would have ever been able to even consider flying, like a goshawk, especially without seeing him fly for a while first, and getting that kind of secondhand, experience and just observing which mannerisms mean what. Just the basic ones,
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I haven't seen. I wish that there were more people that were avid Cooper's Hawk guys that flew them more often that I could have the same experience with.
Right.
I mean, anybody, I think, I'm sure you probably agree with this, but I think anybody that gets a chance to see a certain species or a certain type of hawk or falcon fly for a long time before trying to fly the first one is generally going to have a little bit of an easier time,
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. It's, I'd never seen anybody fly a coop prior to me getting that coop. I went out one time with Vanessa and I watched her catch a pack rat off the fist. And that was the extent, because you're not getting a pack rat away from a Cooper's Hawk. You're not trading out to go again. It ain't happening, So that was my extent. But what I've seen in the wild as far as Cooper Hawks, in their hunting, I literally watched a coop circle around a telephone pole all the way up, chasing a woodpecker, and nailed it. And I'm like, you can do that? And then I've watched him chase sparrows into stacks of pallets. And this one particular one I watched, right before you would think the coop is going to tuck and roll and go right through that pallet, it'd fan out and break, which scared everything out the backside, and he rolled over the top and nailed his sparrow coming out the backside. And it's like, these birds got their shit together.
Yeah.
They know exactly what it takes in any situation. And it's like, I got to try this, so when the opportunity came, and like I say, for 17 years, that's the only bird I flew. I didn't have anything on the side, because it's like, I'm going to give this bird 100% of my time, 11 degrees outside, my bird came in the house. I didn't put her through any of that crap, Yeah, you're a Kansas bird, but she'd sit in my bedroom on a perch, Yeah,
I mean, it's a lot different having, a lot of experience with one bird versus, over that, 17 years flying, several different ones, I mean, it's not exactly the same thing either, so
it's, And what was weird is once she passed away, it's like, okay, I need a bird. So, of course, easiest thing to do is go trap a redtail. And it was like, I had never handled a redtail in my life. I had to learn. Everything was like new again. And I'm like, why aren't you doing what my coop? And it's like, you're not my coop. You're a redtail.
Yep.
But, it slowly comes back. And I think I've flown enough birds species per se in my life. I know there's some that I have no intentions of, never will even look twice at them. And others, okay, I'm going to do this again. Like this year, my plan is I want a redtail. I want to relax and go out and have some fun, not be stressed over, I'm 2 grams too high. Am I going to lose her? Or You know, and that's another reason for long wings. I don't have the patience for it, so I know don't do it. You know,
which is funny coming from a guy that loves Cooper's Hawks. You know?
well, well, I mean, I've flown a prairie falcon and I've flown a peregrine falcon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not successful with either one. I mean, not to what I would call successful. I call maybe 1 or 2 ducks, a pheasant out of the 2 years I put into each, you know, bird. But it's like, I like to run across the field. I don't want to walk up to a pond, bird up, bird down, get back in my car and go drive 100 miles to go back home. I want to get out and be outdoors for the day. I want to hoof it across field, you know, and stuff like that, and follow my bird, because my bird knows what he's doing. And so, you know, I guess dirt hawker, is that the term?
Yeah. Us lowly dirt hawkers.
Us lonely dirt. I'm a dirt hawker 100%, you know. I got no problem slopping through the mud to go get that rabbit or whatever. You know, it's just, that's what I've done the most of. So you know, and what I've experienced with long wings, it's not my cup of tea. I mean, these guys, I give them credit. They'll drive 150 miles to kill a prairie chicken and then 150 miles back home. I mean, good for you.
It's your thing. It's your thing.
It's your thing. If that's what blows your skirt, you know, knock yourself out. I prefer to drive 5 minutes and I'm in a field and I'm hunting for the next 2.5 hours. I like that. You know, it gets my exercise. My bird gets his exercise. That's what I know best. So that's what I stick to, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer, hunt the game you've got. You know, if you don't have the game for that particular bird, don't have that bird, you know. So, and Cooper's Hawk and Redtail, there's game everywhere. You know, you can drive down your street and find a crow. Hell, I can drive down my street and find rabbits in my next door neighbor's front yard. I've killed a few in his front yard, you know, loading up to go hunt. And it's like, well, shit, there's one right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they don't mind, then, you know, whatever.
Well, they never saw it. So.
Jeez.
I mean, like I say, I love falconry and everything. One thing the people. That's one thing I noticed over like say, California, you either paid to get on property, you snuck on property and hoped you didn't get caught. Because if you did, you're going to get arrested. And then you're going to lose your bird because you're not even supposed to have, nobody knew anything. That was one of the reasons I moved to Kansas. Literally born and raised in Lawrence, Kansas is where I was born. Being military, we moved around a lot, wound up in California forever. But when I moved back here, it's like, I want to fly again. And I've never once been told no, not by anybody. And the people that are involved in falconry, they are the nicest people you'll ever meet in the world. You know, I can't compare them to anybody like gun hunters clubs. Never met them. I don't hunt with a gun. But since I've joined NAFA, so to speak, the amount of people I know, friends I've made along the way and stuff, these people will drop and do anything for you at any given time, you know, and you're not going to find that in most sports. It's not a competitive sport, so to speak.
Depending on who you ask.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's make it perfectly clear here. Numbers mean squat to me.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
It's the flight of the bird. I bring my bird home every day. And my bird's healthy, you know. Other than that, I don't care if you killed 20 rabbits today. I killed one. You know, that's what I set out to do. It's a good day. So,
sure.
But again, the people, you can't find a better bunch, you know.
It's definitely one of the most hospitable, for sure.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
and these people will
Worldwide. Yeah.
I flew a guy from, where was it? wasn't Saudi Arabia. He was from Uganda. He flew out to Dodge City to hunt. Neither one, he didn't speak a lick of English. I had no idea what was coming out of his mouth, but we had the best day hunting rabbits of the whole time I was there. And all we could do was sit there is smile and nod at each other, like thumbs up. But, and then I think I saw him like 10 years later. He was back for another one, and we went hunting again. And still didn't know. He didn't learn no English, but, we had a great time. And like I say, the people, you could break down 100 miles from Napa and someone's going to come get you. Someone finds out you're stranded someplace, 2 or 3 people are willing to jump in a vehicle and come and pick you up and get you where you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even guarantee that for my family.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and having now had a chance to go to a few different countries and do stuff for this, I've attested to that multiple times on the record.
It's a different breed.
Yeah. I mean, the people that were nice enough to help put me up or help cater to me, take me around, whatever yeah. I mean, I can't think of many other communities or many other types of people that would be like, yeah, come on.
Yeah.
We'll take care of you. Let's go.
Your family.
Yeah. So I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah. I don't regret one thing pertaining to falconry in my whole life, as far as, I've made some dumb mistakes and whatnot. It's like, well, I won't do that again. But as far as to look back and go, I wasted not a minute, not a day when it comes to this. It's, some people let it consume them. I've watched guys get divorced over it. There's a point where you need to draw a line. It's a seasonal sport, so don't let it do something like that. But at the same time, I can see where some people, it's just, they live and breathe falconry. If you can do that, more power to you. I wish I could, but, I'm not rich and famous and I got to work.
Yeah. Yeah. I still have to find balance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I'm sure it sounds like you're the same way, with that. And
yeah.
I can't let just one thing completely and totally
engulf me.
That leads to bad things for me too. So,
well, and it's like my wife, we, like I told you earlier, when I first met her, I told her, you will not see me for dinner for 6 months. Okay. So if that's going to be an issue, we're going to stop right here. Over the years, it's turned to, I get my 6 months of hunting. The other 6 months, she owns my ass. So it's kind of like, 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm yours for 6 months. Come September 1st, I don't live here anymore because I'm not going to be here. I'm hunting. Okay, so and it works.
Everybody's got their own version of compromise,
right?
And like you said, what works for them. I don't know. The unfortunate thing is as time goes on, sometimes people are less willing, to compromise with certain things, and
right.
Stuff happens, and it is what it is. But yeah. Well, I'm glad it seems to be still working out for you, at least to some degree.
It's the only issues, they're not issues anymore because we've got past it. So to speak. We've I finally told her this is how I perceive. Napa flip-flops as far as Thanksgiving, the week of, it used to be every Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I loved it. I'm not a family-oriented person. I don't like being around a group of people in one room that everybody's talking. I'm out the door. I'm gone. I'm not going to sit for this crap. And my wife finally realized I don't like being stuck in a room with more than 3 people. If there's 4 or 5 people in there, you won't find me there. I'm gone because everybody's trying to overtalk the other, and it drives me insane. And family reunions, it's not me. I don't like my family. So come Thanksgiving, I love the fact that I'm in another country or another state for 9 days. I don't have to deal with, you cook that turkey and deal with all the drama. I'm over here. Mm-hmm. And then she's finally, okay, you don't want to be here for Thanksgiving, you want, or whatever, bye-bye. And it's like, thank you. But I wish Napa would quit flip-flopping, it's like.
Well, it's not a terrible thing for the people that still want to come and partake and
right.
Unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, are a little bit more family oriented in that way, that do have the,
right.
So it is nice, I will say, to kind of have the compromise. Well, okay, well, this one, sorry about you. This is going to be over Thanksgiving. This other one, well, come to this one if you couldn't make that one, whatever,
right, right.
But, yeah, I mean, once again, to each their own. You're never going to be able to cater to everybody, So.
No, and I think that's what they were, that's, I think, the moving back and forth, which is fine with me because it doesn't interfere. It doesn't affect me in any way other than I've had to spend a couple Thanksgivings at home. I didn't really want to be there. So to you, but, and the only other thing I've noticed over the last, I'll say 10 years with NAFA, it's getting more family involvement. Mm-hmm. There's more dads there with his kids or whatever, which it used to just be a bunch of old farts.
Yeah.
Getting together and, and then more females are getting involved, which is great. I see more young kids. Dads are teaching their kids, they're 12 years old. 5 years later, he's 17 and now he's flying his first Falcon or whatever, he's passing it down, which is, to me, is just great because, I hope this sport is never forgotten, so to speak. And I hope the hell government never gets involved and controls us to where we can't do what we're doing, because we're going to do it anyway. We're going to sneak, just like we did in the 60s. We snuck out the back door, we out at the, sunrise and sunset. Two people that lived next door to me when I never knew I had a hawk. They had no clue I had a hawk until probably 10 years later, after I'd already been flying for years. It's like, what is that? It's like, oh shit, you looked over the fence. So
yeah, well, and that's a big reason, and the motivator, kind of like I was telling you, before we started, and continuing to do stuff like this. I mean, yeah, like you said, God forbid,
right?
There's a time where the line is drawn in the sand, and someone tries to completely do away with it. I mean, it's in the event that it, for whatever reason, did go away tomorrow, at least there's, things that people can go back to, reference, listen to, or, it won't hopefully be completely forgotten because of the efforts of some people to kind of preserve stories and
educate.
Heritage and things like that. So, well, before we start to kind of wrap this up a little bit, though, I want to talk to you some about, like the whole, what kind of led you to, aside from your just that drive to always kind of be doing something or whatever, to start making perches and do all that kind of stuff. And
Tyler Slade, that SOB, he called me, sent me a picture one day of a pole perch, and said, "Can you make this?" And I looked at it and it's like, well, yeah, probably. But I mean, originally what started was I needed a block, and I was online, looking at blocks and stuff, and some of these blocks, hey, if you can get $160 for a block, more power to you. You can get $300 for a block, you're living the life. But I'm like, my wife is not going to justify $150 out the door for a piece of wood. Okay. So it's like, all right, I'll go down to Harbor Freight, bought a $140 lathe. I'll make my own. It took me a while to figure it out, but it's not hard. A 10-year-old can do this. And so I made my first block, and posted it on Facebook. Hey, look what I did. Next thing I know, boom, 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 boom. I'm just, and then I think Tyler bought a block or something, and then he sent me a picture one day of a pole perch and asked me if I could, make this. And I said, I'm not going to copy somebody else's. I've got to do something different in order to, it's my idea, not this. So I made a couple changes and stuff and sent it to him. Of course, Tyler Sladen posts a picture of something, everybody wants one. So it took off. Mm-hmm. And then it was people sending me pictures of this type of perch. Can you do this? And it's like, yeah, but it's not going to be the same because I got to change it. I will not copy somebody else, period. So, and that's kind of how it all took off. And I mean, I was enjoying it at first. I love being out in my shop, building these things and stuff, The nightmare is shipping. I don't like boxing the crap up, taking it to FedEx. It's a nightmare to send. And then you pray it gets there in one piece. And rarely does it. Mm-hmm. So I'm sending parts, and I don't charge them for anything that I have to do after the fact because maybe I didn't box it up perfect or whatever, or the FedEx driver had a bad day and just drop kick that thing over, so, but that was another enjoyment outside of my other things that I enjoyed doing. It just added one more thing to my list of, I can do this. And it, takes up time. So but I'm kind of burned out now. I've done so much in the last 5 years. I want to take a break. I haven't even built myself a block yet, or, I have a pole perch, of course, but I've never built myself a block. I don't have a shelf perch. Not that I need one, but it's like, you don't own anything that you build. So maybe it's time to do something for myself and make myself a one of a kind or something, So I got things, going. A friend of mine just bought himself a $60,000 sawmill. It's got a built-in lathe, everything. And it's like, he's my best friend.
I'm going to say, if you had a rocky relationship, I'm sure you've rekindled it by now.
Oh, yeah. I'll do a lot of ass kissing, but...
Bought flowers, steaks, the whole 9 yards.
Well, I keep him supplied in pigeons for my trapping and stuff.
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah.
But he's, he finally got it set up, and he called me the other day and said, Rick Starr gave me a nice 6-foot log of oak, about 10 inches in diameter. It's at his house right now being cut to turn for, blocks and stuff. So I'll be seeing him on the 7th to pick him up and then, of course, go home and get him turned, see what happens. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like you said, everybody's got to keep themselves busy somehow. And if you can make friends and have friends that have other resources that you don't, and you can all share them and become one big happy codependent family.
Yeah, it's
all the better.
Every time I go to NAFA, it's all over. It's Friday night. Everything. If you're going to sell it, it's been sold. If I don't sell it, I just give it away. I don't want to bring it home. It's because it's just going to sit there and collect dust.
I remember being next to you at the booth and like towards the end there, you're just like, yep, whatever I don't sell, hell with it. Yep. Just going to give it to him, donate it or whatever.
Put it in the raffle.
Yep.
I think I gave 3 Kestrel pole perches away because they didn't sell. And it's like, I'm not going to take them home and take up space. And any blocks, hey, you need a block? Take it. I don't, that stuff's just, it's fun. I enjoy building this stuff. If I can make a little money for my time, and I had to run to the dump and drag these logs out of a pile and bring them home and get them cut and turned and all. Yeah, if I make $40, okay. Some of it helps pay for the trip to the NAFA. Sometimes there's one year I ate my lunch going to NAFA. I brought everything back home.
It's not a cheap trick.
No,
it's not a cheap trip at all.
But it's all part of it, and like I said, it keeps me busy. I'm making things that people need, like. I don't make the best that's out there, because I've seen some stuff that's like, God, I wish I could afford that. But my wife would like, hell no. So, and I can't make it myself. I mean, I may try someday. I played around with resin. Me and resin do not get along. That is some nasty stuff. So I'll just stay with plain Jane wood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Old school.
Well, yeah, I don't blame you, man. I mean, and it doesn't matter what you do creatively. It doesn't matter if you're a hood maker,
right,
an equipment maker, perch maker, podcaster.
Right.
Everybody gets burned out and needs breaks. It's just...
Yeah, you do. You do. You speak of hood makers. Those guys they're in a class by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my friend Tucker Taylor, I watched that guy do hoods. I literally gone over there and said, here's a piece of leather. I want this hood. And watched him whip it out. And nothing flat, which would have taken me days, and it would have looked like crap.
Yep.
It would have wound up in the trash.
Yep.
I've probably tried 20 hoods in my life. You'll never see one of them. They're all in the trash, because that's not my thing.
Yeah.
So, and those, like I say, those guys are artists to the T.
Sure. Tucker's one of the many that I've talked to that reach burnout, and you need a break. And sometimes that break is indefinite.
Yeah.
And sometimes it goes a couple years. Sometimes it's just a short amount of time. But either way, it seems like that's a common denominator with especially with hood makers. And
right.
And I mean, it's, even if people are getting money back for something, it's not ever going to be worth the extra time that's justified. Right. You're never going to make enough of a profit off of the side stuff and with falconry to offset the burnout. And even if you were making a lot of money, you're still going to
you're going to burn out.
Burned out. Yeah.
You're going to burn out. It's, and like I say, to me, a hood maker is going to burn out a lot quicker than I am. Because what I'm doing is, like saying, I could teach a 10-year-old how to spin a block. There's nothing to it, I mean, you can get more detailed in it, put in, spinners, so the swivel and everything spins and stuff like that, which is, a little bit more detailed as far as making sure everything locks in right. But when you look at a hood, especially a well-made hood, the stitching, the trim, everything about it, it's just, we're talking minute stuff with your little fat fingers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can't do it. I can't braid. I mean, I can braid, but I won't. I learned how to macrame in high school, but I won't. I don't have the tendency for that stuff. So it's like, let somebody else do it. I'll pay for it.
Exactly. And that's exactly my outlook too. I'd much rather support another falconer that enjoys doing it and, save myself the sanity, the losing of my sanity.
I'm never happy with the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I will make my own Jessies, but I will find something wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it just pisses me off.
Yep.
So I'll let somebody else do it.
Sure. I'm right there with you. I'd rather support somebody else. And it's not like I don't know how to do it, but I would much rather go ahead and support somebody else's endeavor and be happy with what I've got in the process too.
Right.
Everybody wins. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, you pay it back, pay it forward, so to speak, or whatever. Keep everybody that's doing this keep them doing it so it keeps going for the next generation, because hopefully they're going to teach somebody to do what they're doing.
Sure.
You know, because the last thing I always say is, oh, well, you know, he passed away. You're never going to get another one like it, because nobody could top it. You know, they couldn't even come close to it. You know, I've got a Weiss hood sitting in a glass dome. It's got the feather plumes, the whole thing. And it's like, you'll never find one made like that. This thing is gorgeous. But I just sit there and stare at it.
Yeah. No, I there's some hoods that I've seen made that I would, if I got it, I would never even dream of actually using it.
I wouldn't want to.
No.
Yeah. Tucker's made me a couple that, couldn't you use some crappy leather? Because I'm not putting this on a bird. The first time he goes to scratch, I've got it's marred. Mm-hmm. So it sits in a bookcase, you know?
Yeah. So, right there with you, man. Well, I guess we can come close to kind of wrapping this up here. I mean, you've already told a lot of cool stories, and I mean, is there any other hunting stories or experiences with a bird or anything that's like your favorite? It sticks out in your mind the most is like really impactful, or?
Oh God, there's way too many. I mean, I've seen things that, you know, golden eagle on a coyote. I watched a gyrfalcon from 7,000 feet hit ground zero in like 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, memorable hunting experience with one of like you and one of your birds, more specifically. And
well, it's not it's an experience. Some people came down from, I think they were coming through Utah to go somewhere to pick up a bird. It was just the beginning of wintertime, and I was just getting my coop going, and the crows hadn't moved into town yet. But I found if you go to McDonald's, go buy a box of fries and go sit in the parking lot, throw them out the window, you got crows. So I said, all right, we're going to head over to McDonald's. They got a dumpster in the back. There's always crows. You know, they're hanging out on the street and stuff. So as we're pulling into the small mall parking lot, I see about 6 crows sitting over in the middle of it by a car. Wasn't even thinking. So I told them, I said, you go park over there. That way you're looking directly at the crows. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to swing around the back side of that car and come out and let her slip out, you know, and snag one. And of course, she nails one. And the next thing I hear is, son of a bitch. And there's a little old man and old lady sitting in that car feeding crows French fries. So that turned into a half-hour explanation to them, you know, as to what I'm doing.
Well, therein lies the lesson that you got to be really aware of your surroundings sometimes.
Yeah, you know. So I mean, most of it, for the most part, I don't think I've had a lot of negativity in falconry. I've never been. I've literally told cops to back up because my bird's on a crow, and they're walking up behind me because somebody called from the store that, hey, there's a suspicious guy in the back of our building.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm down on my knees, and I just catch something out of the corner of my eye, and I just turned around and said, stop. And it's a cop. And they'll look at you like, what the hell? And I, real fast, hey, I'm just hunting crows. And either he doesn't even want to try to process. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They just turn around and walk away.
Well, my experience with cops has been similar. It's like they actually, once they kind of sort of process, they think it's cool, and then you've made a new buddy, you know?
Right.
And they leave you be and finish your business and go on about your way, you know?
Yeah. It's, well, I don't know if you want to call this. Nah, we won't go there.
Yeah. Some stuff you got to leave alone.
Yeah, it could come back and bite me in the butt, so I'm going to leave that one for for never.
Yeah.
I mean, most of it is just, like I say, and I think this is a thing for a lot of falconers is the amount of time you hunt alone, prior to a NAFA meet or a club picnic or whatever, and it's unfortunate because your bird gets accustomed to you and him, period. So you bring somebody in, things kind of go off kilter,
Throwing off the routine. Yeah.
So you're forced to hunt by yourself. So a lot of the things you experience, nobody else sees it, And to me, that's it's a little bit on the sad side, but at the same time, it's like, this is why I'm out here. This is for me. It's not for, Joe Public or somebody else. This is my time, my effort, and my bird. So I enjoy that moment with, just my bird. It's not like, and it's like I try to tell people, I'm not doing anything this bird doesn't do out of necessity. I'm along for the ride. Okay. I didn't train him to do this. He's allowing me to partake in his lifestyle, so to speak. This is how he survives, and I'm allowed to watch it up close and personal. So to me, that's the best part of it, so to speak. I enjoy it when something gets away, because to me that's part of it. That rabbit figured out how to, bust that bird off his ass or sidestep him, or
best flights.
Or the best flights are a tail chase that never happened. The bird learned whatever he was chasing, figured out, okay, I just got to put it into gear, and I think that's a lot of it. And unfortunately, I can't believe I'm going to say this, at my age, I'm getting a soft spot for animals. Is that a bad? There's probably nothing you guys out there want to hear.
There's not a problem with that. I mean, having a soft spot for animals in general is why we kind of develop an affinity for a lot of this, I think. Though.
Okay. It's kind of reminiscent to the first time I heard a jackrabbit scream. About threw up.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never heard anything like that in my life, and it literally sounded like a baby crying. The lady next to me threw up and cried. It's like, but I'm getting to a point where
you don't like killing stuff as much.
I don't like killing stuff as much. Yeah. I'm not into. I used to love to hear a rabbit scream.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, the way I tell people though is like it's not. It's a byproduct of the main enjoyment is everything leading up to that.
Right.
You know, that the rabbit squeal or the having to dispatch prey or whatever. That's always just the after byproduct of what we enjoy the most leading up to it. Right. And that's how I usually explain it to people, because it's not like we necessarily take joy in something else dying.
Right.
It's that, you know, we take joy in watching that natural process that happens leading up to that point, and then what happens afterwards is what, like you said, what happens in nature every day. It's the byproduct.
Right. It seems to. I'll just use the word. It starts to get on me a little bit towards the end. I don't know, like say if it's getting up in my age or whatever. And I mean, I love all animals. I won't even step on a bug. I just won't do it. But one thing I cannot kill a domestic rabbit for food. Can't do it. It's one of my whipped issues when it comes to a domestic rabbit. I can't do it. So I let somebody else take care of that. Here's $10, clean that rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't do it. But I don't know. You know, my wife keeps saying, you know, eventually you're not going to be able to go out there and hunt because you're not going to be able to stand the sight of it.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. You know, like I say, I love animals. I love the sport of falconry. I love the chase. I love the, being, I'll say, one with the bird, so to speak. You don't want to get all psychological here, but it's an opportunity that, most people never get.
Oh.
They see it, or they drive by that red tail sitting on a telephone pole and look at it like, oh, look at that big bird. And they're clueless to what really goes on in the wild, so to speak. So, and we get to be a part of that, whether it's chasing cottontail, ducks, pheasant, quail, coyotes, and deer. You're not going to get that opportunity in a normal life because unless you pursue it, or you follow along, so to speak. And the people that I've introduced into falconry, that's all it took was one trip into the field and they're hooked.
Sure.
Or
they absolutely hate it, one or the other.
Right,
right. You're not usually in between.
I got my brother-in-law into it, which was, he hated me afterwards, but for the 5 years that he flew, he loved every minute of it. But he was building a street racer. He had a 55 Chevy Bel Air, dropped like 27 grand just on the motor. And he went hunting with me one day. And I said, you want to call him down to the glove? And he said, yeah. So I gave him a rabbit leg, called the red tail down. 3 days later, he sold his car, everything. bought everything to build the view, the weathering, took the test, got the bird, flew it for 5 years. Same bird for 5 years. No matter how many times I try to tell him, turn it loose and get another one. Don't do this, because you'll get a different experience each time. But he kept her for 5 years and flew her. And then finally, him and my sister, they separated. And he turned the bird loose, and then he told me I ruined his life. It's like, no, I gave you 5 years of a hellacious life, dude. You can't blame me on that. That was your choice. But yeah, it's easy to get into, and I'll do my best to talk you out of it.
I do too.
If I can talk you out of it, then you didn't need to even try.
Yeah. No, I've every new prospective person that comes out with us in our group, I tell them, it's like, dude, you're stupid.
Yeah.
Don't get in just don't.
Bro, I had this one guy and his mom come out, and the kid was like 14, 15. And he was all into school activities. I said, you don't have time. Oh, well, I'll make time. I said, no, you won't. I said, look, come back in about 2 years, maybe wait till you're 18 to get out of high school and stuff. And you've got the time to commit to something like this. And he goes, no, I can really do this, And yeah, I said, do you have a girlfriend? And he goes, no. I said, you going to get one? And he goes, well, yeah, I hope. I said, then you don't need to do this. I said, deal with that and then come back. And I told his mom, I said, I won't sign for your son. She was pissed. I said, your son is not ready to stop everything and do this. Mm. He hasn't experienced enough stuff in his life. Some kids can, and I give them the credit for it. They know what they want. But you could just tell by talking to him, he wasn't 100%. He had other activities he still wanted to be, and you can't do all of that plus this. So, and I've probably turned down 4 or 5 in my lifetime. I just don't, not going to do it. Now, if you want to go talk to him and he's dumb enough, look, yeah, but I'm not signing yet.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like I said, it's partially in jest, but I tell him, I said, dude, like, you don't understand, like, I'm being at least partially serious here. Like, right. you should really, you just don't, because, if you get into it, it's going to change your life in some way, shape, or form. And right. You won't understand how until it happens, and something else is going to suffer.
It could be good, it could be bad.
Time or commitment wise, there will be other things that you will come into conflict with if you bring this into your life. It's, in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
And I mean, I'm just like, it's on you if you want to. I mean, and after, having them in and something goes wrong and, hearing a squabble or whatever and this, that, and the other. And,
Right.
and I look at them like, see, like, are you, why are you still here? Why are you still coming out? It's just like, this is,
this is just the beginning.
Yeah. This is tame compared to what you're going to deal with personally when you start dealing with it yourself. So
it's and everybody says it's a lifestyle. And it is, but it can be a seasonal lifestyle, because it is technically. I mean, I've ran into guys that tell me straight up that they hunt 365 days a year. And I'm looking at, and I've never sat down and processed it. I don't care to, don't want to. How are you hunting in the middle of summertime?
Well, it makes you wonder, those guys, if they really mean if they're hunting in the traditional sense of hunting, or if they're looking for nests, or if they're doing like other activities related, possibly, other than actually going out in the field with a bird and actually hunting quarry. I mean, there's some. I mean, I've got plenty of friends that there is no true off season.
Right.
They're either once the official season's over, then either they're hunting a micro or they're nest hunting for whatever, or this, that, and the other. There's always something going on in the off season, even though it's not actual true traditional hunting. So maybe it wasn't that more, who knows? I mean, whatever.
That could be. They just made me, the two guys that I was talking to at the time, I won't say what state they're from, but I was just under the impression that these guys went out every day. They didn't care what the weather was. They were hunting their birds.
Well, if that's the case, and all the power to them, you ain't going to see me out in the middle.
Especially
July or whatever.
When it's 110 outside.
No.
Most birds are sitting in the trees at 110.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you can do it, do it. As long as the bird's healthy.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah,
That's
you
all I
do.
can say.
You do, you boo.
Yeah,
it's not for me, but
I don't want to hear about it, because I don't want to judge, and that's one thing. If I'm listening to a conversation, and this could be at an AFA meet or wherever, and I'm listening to something that I don't agree on, I'm not comfortable, I walk away, because I don't want to change my opinion of that person. I mean, you've done this, that's okay. I've done some shit in my life that I'm not going to talk about, because I don't want to be judged, so to speak, but I just walk away from the conversation, because I don't want to hear it and change my opinion of that person just because he's,
I get it,
done whatever he's talking about, because we've all done some, I'll say, not what you should have done. It's not according to the rules, so to speak, where I sometimes think some of these states need to really take a good look at their rules and regulations and make sure it is being followed to the T, because there are easy ways to sidestep it, go around it. And I know there's people that do it, because I've had a couple of them had their license pulled because of it, And at the same time, there was a kid at the NAFA meet in Oklahoma a couple of years ago. He lost his dad's falcon. He was going to go show it to a group of kids, Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts. Some came out to see the weathering area, and he wanted to show off his dad's bird, and it got away, leash, everything. And it tore this kid up. And we were at the banquet, and you could tell he was still upset. So I went over and I was kneeling down. I was talking to him. I said, let me tell you something. I said, I included. I said, 80% of the people in this room have done what you've done. Okay? You're not the first. You're not the last. And I said, and it may not be the last time you ever do it. It could happen again. I said, so don't feel, don't hurt yourself or hate yourself for what you did. I said, because everybody in this room has done things that they don't want to speak about.
Sure.
So, you haven't ruined it for yourself or anything else, you know. And I said, just shit happens, go on, you know. And I saw him last year. He's flying, you know, of course he's grown 6 feet, but he's flying a red tail, you know, he's having a blast. So, you know, just, you got to keep on trucking and just, you know, take the good with the bad. But, like I say, I don't voice my opinion when it comes to how other people do things. You know, and it references back to that. If you ask 10 people, what would you do if your bird was doing this? You're going to get 10 different answers.
Sure.
Not a one of them is going to agree with the other.
No.
You know, and it's the same with how people perceive their sport of falconry. Everybody does it different.
Of course.
Some good, some bad, you know, so.
What's mine is yours, and or not. What's mine is not necessarily yours, and
yeah, exactly.
Vice versa. Yeah.
You know, so I try to, you know, like I say, I don't judge a person by their actions, so to speak, unless it's like repetitive. And then I'll step in and I'll say my piece. And hey, we go to blows, we go to blows. But you know, you're standing here boasting about something you shouldn't even be speaking about. Don't want to hear it. Nobody else wants to hear it. So, you know.
Yeah.
Let it be.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that it's always going to be bones of contention, you know, when it comes to, you know, each of us. And we are a highly opinionated bunch. We joke about it all the time. You know, they're falconers and their opinions. I mean, it gets said almost every episode that I do, you know, the term falconers and their opinions always gets mentioned at least once somewhere. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that overall, you know, going back to making a quick piggyback off of the point you made earlier with, you know, your growing compassion towards and you know, sentimentality towards animals and stuff too.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that I've seen have similar experiences, you know, in the field, you know, where they're just like, ooh, not really sure how they, you know, to react with dispatching a bunny, whether in that the head gets pulled completely off by accident or not, or whatever. You know, I've always reminded those people, and for anybody else that might be listening that might have been like, I don't know how to think about that. Well, one important thing to remember about nature that we don't see every day, you know, for the naturally wild birds and naturally wild, you know, cottontails, for example.
Right.
Even if we do something like that, it's still way more humane than what happens in nature every day.
Yeah. Nature, it's a slow process.
Yeah. I mean, that hawk isn't going to quickly put down that rabbit or a squirrel or whatever, you know, it's
true.
And so,
that's true.
You know, I guess, and this is that sentiment is also for you as well. You got to kind of remind yourself that we're still being more humane and dispatching the way we do with these animals than what is naturally going to happen in the wild too. We're saving a lot of suffering, but
yeah. Well, it's, you know, like going back to my wife, you know, they'll, and sometimes I feel sorry for falconers' wives. They got to put up with some, oh my God. I remember first time my wife saw a rabbit head in the refrigerator. You know, it's like, well, you know, no, you get your own refrigerator. You get your own freezer. So, which I have now, but, she'll bring it up once in a while, you know, cause, she reads my moods and stuff, and it's like, oh man, I got to load up the bird. I got to go fly. I'm not into it today, but I'm gonna fly, you know, regardless of whether I want to or not. But they'll bring up, when are you going to put this behind you, so to speak, you know? And I said, probably when you find me dead in the field, you know, and her thing was, well, how am I going to know which field you're in? And years ago, my wife has a map of the 5 fields in my location that I hunt throughout the week. You know, I rotate and I jump back and forth. I'm never in the same field at the same time, same day, whatever. And I said, I'm in one of these fine places. If I'm not home by midnight, you need to call 911 because I probably dropped dead out there or something, you know? So,
Yeah.
One time she goes, well, what if we put telemetry on you? And I said, you got to know how to use it.
Well, I mean, I guess the easier thing now too is, you know, with the modern cell phones.
No, yeah.
You know, she can always track where you're at that way too.
Right.
It'd be much easier than having to send search parties out with a with a paper map.
Right. He's in one of these 5 places. Look for his truck. But yeah, it's you know, like I say, it's it's a lifestyle. I've been doing it for so long. And, you know, again, it's the people. And to me, Kansas, I don't know about other states because, you know, I've only been there for NAFA meets, so to speak. But as far as being allowed to go literally anywhere in the state of Kansas and hunt and never be told no. And usually Farmer John and the family want to come watch.
Sure.
So you got brush beaters. Mm-hmm. Instant, you can go by yourself and you got a family of 6 right behind you. That's the one thing I do enjoy about Kansas. And of course, the diversity as far as the game that's here. Mm-hmm. I love it. You know, I consider myself lucky to be where I'm at this point in my life, as far as I've got the time, I can make the time to hunt a bird the way it's supposed to be hunted. You know, I can't stand people that fly a bird once a week. That's, you know, you should find another sport. Take up fishing, something. You know, you can't do that bird justice in one day. You know, Harris hawk.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
Sorry. It was going to come out eventually. I apologize too.
You're not sorry. You're not sorry. Don't even try and pull that apology stuff, Bill. Well, I guess we can probably go ahead and end on that note, if you want.
Oh, sure. Everybody hates me now.
Not everybody, just people that love Harris Hawks.
Now I know I'm not going to the next meet.
Oh man, well, I may or may not be there too. It just depends what my situation has changed drastically, as you know, and so
right.
You know, we'll see what happens. But I sure have enjoyed today. It's been great, sitting and shooting the shit with you here, so to speak. And,
yeah, definitely.
And you know, I hope you've had a good time, and thanks for making the time today. And
it's
not like it looks like you probably would have been doing a whole lot else, you know, with it being so rainy and monsoony outside and everything. And
no, I took a day off from the base.
Yeah.
So
there you go. Well, I appreciate you doing that. And like I said, for carving the time out for me, man.
No problem. Anytime. This was a blast. I enjoyed it.
Good. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Yep.
So,
and I hope all your listeners out there listen up.
Appreciate you, man.
All right. You too.